I got a solo in the choir concert. In elementary school and middle school, I was known as the boy with the voice. And then my junior year of college, my voice broke. What do you do when the thing that makes you feel the most you is gone? Who are you? And I think it's because I knew deep down it wasn't gonna happen. I said, all right, how's it look? And the room went silent. So what do you do when the thing that brings you the most joy in the entire world you can't do because it'll hurt you? You can let it destroy you, or you can find that joy somewhere else. You are the only person in your way. Hey, my name is Jonathan Savage, and this is my Josh Talk. I love to sing. I always have. If you calculate all of the sounds that have ever come out of my mouth, realistically, 40% of those were probably sung. So much so that my parents, who did not want to squash my enthusiasm, asked that I at least go in my room and close the door, which of course I did not do. But it wasn't until about the third grade that I realized I was actually any good at it. It was the last class of the day, Mrs. Hook's choir class, and I remember we were singing one of my favorite songs from the concert. I wish I could remember what it was, but she had us all sing one at a time. And after class, she asked me to stay, and I went up to her and she said, "Would you like a solo in the choir concert?" And I said, yes. I was so excited. I ran back to the classroom so I wouldn't miss the bus. I distinctly remember jumping over my backpack, throwing it over my shoulder, getting on the bus, feeling so cool. And then this thought trickled from the back of my brain to the front, and I thought, and I don't know where I got this idea, but didn't Mom at some point say that solos were bad? So I spent the whole bus ride thinking about that. I didn't know what I was going to tell my mom, and I walked inside and I said, "Hey Mom, I got a solo in the choir concert." And she was so excited, and I was utterly confused. But after we'd cleared that all up, she bought me a new sweater and everything, and I just want to take the second to thank my parents so much. Mom, I love you so much. Thank you. Dad, I love you so much. Thank you. You both have been so incredibly supportive. I'm so proud to be your son, and I don't know where I'd be without you. So thank you. So it's very safe to say that singing became a very big part of my identity, a very big part of who I was. In elementary school and middle school, I was known as the boy with the voice. I felt like I had this secret I got to share with people whenever I met someone new. When I was in middle school, I was in this leadership program called Junior NYLC, and the last day of the program, we spent the night at the Baltimore Science Center. It was about a 45-minute bus ride from the campus, and at the beginning, I started singing Good Morning Baltimore, and by the end of the bus ride, I had made $7. I went to the gift shop, and I bought myself this squishy toy, and then the next day, it was confiscated at airport security, which is sad. But I had still made that money from my art. It was the first time I had made money doing what I love, and it felt really, really cool. So 10 years later of bus gigs and choirs and shows and performances, and I'm ready to start my freshman year at Penn State, my dream school. It took a few conversations with the help of my mom, with my dad, to convince him that this is really what I wanted to do and I was going to pursue this and that I really, really wanted this. He just wanted to make sure I was going to get a good education. He was looking out for me. So thank you, Dad. I really appreciate it. But I think we've convinced him, and he has been nothing but supportive. And so here I am, ready to go to my dream school to pursue my dreams and learn all the things I've ever wanted to learn. And then my junior year of college, my voice broke. What do you do when the thing that makes you feel the most you is gone? Who are you? No, this doesn't just happen. When I was 13, I started going through puberty. And naturally, my voice started lowering, and I became a baritone. I used to be able to sing super high, and I didn't have consistent vocal training and a vocal teacher to help me navigate my voice change. So all I knew was that I couldn't sing these notes anymore. So I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and then I started cracking, and people were laughing, and then I developed this anxiety around singing. After every show, I would come out and ask my parents, my friends, everyone, "Did you hear me crack? Did you hear me crack?" Even if I didn't crack. I went to college, it was no different. I started thinking that I was a singer first, but I couldn't sing higher than an E, so I felt like a fraud. I was looking at my classmates, all who could sing so much higher than I could, all whose voices were progressing so much faster than mine. And I thought, how am I supposed to survive in an industry when all the roles I'm right for, I can't even sing? And so I kept pushing and working, and I was making a lot of progress, but my voice teachers kept saying, Jonathan, you gotta slow down, you gotta trust the process, you're working too hard, but I wouldn't listen. And then at one point, it all came to a head. Towards the end of the summer before my junior year, I noticed a change in my voice. I felt like there was this wall and I couldn't break through. I felt like my voice wasn't as strong anymore and I kept having to clear my throat. But I didn't think anything of it, and I went back to school and I auditioned for the fall semester, and I ended up getting cast as one of the leads in this musical called Be More Chill. It was the first collegiate production. It was the second production ever. The writer Joe Iconis was going to work on it with us, and I had this amazing song called Michael in the Bathroom. I couldn't wait. But every day at the end of rehearsal, my voice had just faded away. And every night I would go home and just hope it would be better the next day. And I tried to picture myself on that stage singing that song, but I just couldn't create that image in my head. And I think it's because I knew deep down it wasn't going to happen. And so the creative team and I decided I should probably go to a doctor. So I went to an ENT and I got scoped. Now, a scope is a device that they either put down it's a camera really, that they put down your throat or your nose. You can guess which one is worse, and that's the one I got. And they take pictures of your vocal cords. So after the doctor pulled them out, I said, all right, how's it look? And the room went silent. And I got up, and I turned around and I looked at the screen, and there was this massive bump on my vocal cords. And I was told it was a hemorrhagic polyp. It was essentially a blood blister on my vocal cords, affectionately named Polly the Polyp by one of my greatest teachers, supporters, and friends, Beth Burrier. And he said, don't sing for 3 months, and then we'll come back and see. I said, okay. So I went back to school, and I had to drop out of the role, and we adjusted my curriculum to make sure I graduated on time. And then the incredible voice faculty at the time, Raymond Sage, Beth Patton, and Mary Saunders Barton came up to me and they said, this doesn't make sense. You should be going to therapy if you're injured so that this doesn't happen again. We're going to send you to another doctor that we know in Philadelphia, and we're going to get a second opinion. I said, okay. So November comes along, I finally get an appointment. I drive all the way to Philadelphia. My mom meets me. Thank God she was there. And the last thing I wanted was surgery. The absolute last thing I wanted was surgery. But Dr. Wu, the incredible Dr. Wu, came in. I was at Dr. Sadilov's clinic, one of the best clinics in the country. And she did a scope, and she pulled it out, and she said, all right, you're going to go on vocal rest for a week, and then in a month, you're going to have surgery. And I said, okay. And let me walk you through what this recovery process looks like. So first off, I'd start speech therapy before surgery. So I had to go back and forth between State College and Philadelphia. It's about 3.5 hours every other week. And then in the surgery, they take a laser, they put it down your throat, they burn off the polyp, and then you wake up, you can't speak for a whole week. Then, if you're all clear, you can speak 1 minute every 10, and you have to speak every 10 minutes for a minute so you can start rebuilding your endurance. Then, if you're clear after that week, it's 2 minutes every 10, then 3 minutes every 10, then 5 minutes every 10, and then I could speak as much as I wanted until I was tired. And then I would start singing therapy, and I would completely relearn how to sing. So, quick shout out to Peggy Baruti and Bridget Rose, my speech and singing therapist, saved my life, and Dr. Wu. I thank all of you. Thank you so much. When you calculate all of that together, that's about 7 months of not singing. So what do you do when the thing that brings you the most joy in the entire world you can't do because it'll hurt you? Well, you can do one of two things. You can let it destroy you, or you can find that joy somewhere else. So I turned to dance. And I've always had a very complicated relationship with dance. I've always had a hard time calling myself a dancer. I took 2 weeks of tap when I was 6. I took karate for a really long time, so I had a lot of body awareness, retention skills, and flexibility. I danced a bit in high school with Christina Wright Ballard and Renee Monique Brown. And I started doing musicals when I was 9, and I was always put in a dance track, so I learned a lot on the job. But I never really had a solid foundation for technique. And both my best friend in high school and my best friend in college were both such incredible dancers that I felt like, well, I can never be as good as them, so I'll never be a dancer. I'm just a strong mover. I love to dance, but it's not my strong suit. Singing is. And I remember the week after my surgery, I was in a studio with my tap teacher, Michelle Dunleavy, and she said to me, what an incredible opportunity for you to find your voice as a dancer. And so I did. Every night I went home and I wouldn't speak so I could rest my voice, and I forced myself to improv. I wouldn't let myself judge what was coming out of my body. If I got frustrated that I was getting stale or doing the same thing, I forced myself to do something different, to change my vocabulary. I recorded myself, so I had the pressure of someone watching me. I made myself choreograph. I filmed myself again. I checked my technique. I threw myself into my dance classes with Jay Austen-Iyer, Michelle Dunleavy, and Donna Dunmeyer, and they taught me so much about my body and technique and gave me this groundwork for this artistry. And I realized through all of this work that my voice as a dancer wasn't any less than or less valid because it was unique and a little different, and my training was unconventional, and my journey wasn't normal. I wasn't dancing since I was two. It was just my voice. It was my specific voice as a dancer. And I finally had this confidence to say, you know what? I am a dancer. I can do this. Plus, I've been doing all this therapy. I've relearned how to sing. Now I can sing everything I've ever wanted to. In the shower, because I'm too scared to do it in public because I'm terrified of re-injury and this happening to me again. But I know this is just something I'm going to have to work through. And a year later, I end up, the second semester of my senior year, I'm cast as the lead in this musical called Kiss of the Spider Woman. It was an incredible opportunity. I was so excited, but I was nervous because I'd never done anything like this since before my surgery. There was a lot of speaking, it was a lot of singing. It wasn't particularly high, but I felt like this was my chance to prove to everyone and to myself that my injury didn't win. I beat the surgery, and I felt this pressure to prove that I wasn't weak, but I was also so scared of causing more damage that I started to pull back on rehearsals, and I was so nervous about cracking because I didn't want people to think I couldn't do it, that I created all this tension in my body which made the notes come out harder than they would have if I just let it happen. And I had so many conversations with my voice teacher and the head of my program, John Simpkins, and they kept saying, Jonathan, we never would have put you in this situation if we thought you couldn't do it. We would never set you up for failure. You have to get out of your own way. And I remember being in the tech rehearsal, which is when all the elements are put together. And at the end of my first song, I charge down stage and I have this big note, and I just had to think to myself, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. If I said, you're not gonna crack, I would crack. So I had to say, you can do this, you're gonna sing this note, you're gonna sing this note. And it was all I could think about. I couldn't think about the show, I couldn't think about anything but the fact that I was going to hit this note. And I did the whole run, and I thought, hooray, I've conquered my vocal injury, this will never be a problem again. But then I graduated. And I ended up in post-collegiate opportunities without the support of the Penn State faculty who had understood my trauma. And I felt like I had to keep myself safe and I had to protect myself from re-injury because who else would? I was the only one looking after myself. So I started making a really bad habit of marking, which is not singing full out, because I felt like I wasn't ready to do what was being asked of me, even though I absolutely was. So even though I had completely relearned how to sing, I knew how to do all these things, I still had this anxiety around singing, which was only intensified because of the injury. But now I had my dancing to fall back on and to hide behind. So when I moved to New York, I started going to dancer calls instead of singer calls. I felt if I could just get past the dance call, if I cracked in the when I sang, at least they would know I could dance. But if I went to a singer call and they didn't know who I was, if I cracked, they would think, why is he here? He doesn't belong in this business. I'm never gonna cast him. Or God forbid I actually nail it and knock it out of the park. I get the job and then I can't perform it because I'm too scared of my own voice. My recovery had proven to me that there was a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. There was a right way to live. There was a right way to eat. There's a right way to sing. Doing things the wrong way ended in injury, pain, and loss. Doing things the right way was the optimal effect. So I just had to make sure I was singing the right way. But that only put more pressure on me because I could only think about, am I singing this right? Oh, you better be singing this right, because if you're not, then you're gonna get injured again and you're gonna have to get surgery again and you can't afford that. And think of what you put your parents through. Well, maybe I'll just give up acting and I won't even have to worry about it. But Jonathan, you love acting. You don't want to give up on your dream. Plus, you convinced your parents to send you to musical theater school. They would be so disappointed in you. Can you imagine having all of these thoughts in your brain every time you tried to sing? Singing wasn't fun anymore. It was terrifying. I was putting so much pressure to make sure I was doing the right things, and I was only creating more tension in my body and then cracking while trying so hard to avoid cracking. It took over my entire life. I wouldn't hang out with people after rehearsal because I had to go home and I had to rest my voice because I was not ready. I wouldn't do karaoke because I was scared of cracking in front of my friends because I felt like they would all think that I was injured or I wasn't strong enough. I felt like the world was just waiting for me to fail, but I knew that wasn't true. I knew I could do all these things. I could do them in my house. I just had to build the confidence to do it in public. And then I booked this show called Footloose at this theater called the Muni. And the Muni is this incredible theater. It's 11,000 seats, open air in St. Louis. It's truly a place where magic happens. And Footloose is a super fun musical. And I had this goal for myself. I said, Jonathan, you're going to go into this and you are not going to mark. You don't have to. You are going to do whatever is asked of you because you know you can. And so I got to rehearsal, and it turns out I was tracked into this trio of boys who had this song, and I was put on the top part. And at first, I was so nervous. And then I looked at the sheet music and I said to myself, Jonathan, you can sing this. This isn't hard. You can do this. And so I didn't say anything. I said, yep, I'll do it, no problem. And this is how cool the Muni is. Someone had donated 3 Harley-Davidson motorcycles to the theater just for this show, just for this song. So we're sitting on these motorcycles singing our hearts out. And in rehearsal, I felt great about it. I was nervous, but I never cracked. But then we got to opening. And then I thought, oh my gosh, what if this has all just been a fluke? And then I'm gonna go out there tonight and choke in front of all these people. And if I crack tonight, that'll probably crack for the entire run. And I'm gonna let 11,000 people down. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then the panels opened and I saw the audience. And I realized, Jonathan, you are sitting on a motorcycle with only 2 other people on stage, on the biggest stage you have ever been on, in front of 11,000 people who are all just so excited to see Footloose at the Muni. And you are missing out on all of the fun because you are choosing to be stressed about something that no one else is thinking about. You are not living in the moment, ergo you are failing at your job as an actor because you are too busy thinking about something that no one else is thinking about. No one thinks you can't do this. No one is waiting for you to crack. No one's even thinking about you. You are the only person in your way. And then I did it. And it was exhilarating. And then I realized I don't have to be the boy who had surgery. I don't have to be the boy who's scared of his own voice. My injury doesn't define me unless I let it define me. I get to choose every day what type of person I want to be based on how I respond to the challenges that are put in front of me. Do I want to be the person who is scared of his own voice? Or do I want to be the person who wants to share his voice with the world? Do I want to be the person who lets fear stop me from doing the things that I love? Or do I want to be the person who said, thank you, fear. I appreciate everything you've taught me, but I got this. It was the slightest shift in my brain, but it was the active choice to not be that person anymore. You can't change your past. Your past experiences' only job is to inform you and support you, not to define you. You get to do that. And people are going to have their own definitions of you. I'm sure there are people who, to them, I am the guy who had surgery because that's all they know about me. But I know that I am so much more than that. All I have to do is just live in the moment, let go of that expectations, truly just listen to myself, be the person I want to be, regardless of everything. And when I do that, nothing, not even myself, can hold me back.
Tell us what you think about this video and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.